The promise of the American city has always been one of opportunity. It was the place you went to build a career, to find your community, to chase a dream. For generations, cities were the engines of prosperity, the vibrant heart of the nation. But for millions of Americans today, that promise is broken. The dream is fracturing under an immense, unbearable weight. We are no longer talking about just a few expensive neighborhoods. We are talking about an entire urban ecosystem in crisis. This isn't just about high rent, it's about the compounding, day-after-day challenges that make life in some of our most famous cities a relentless battle for survival. It is a perfect storm of crushing unaffordability, crumbling infrastructure, ever-present threats from a changing climate, and deep social strains that are pushing residents to their breaking point. Today, we are going beyond the headlines. We are going to dissect the anatomy of this urban crisis. We will count down 10 American cities where the combination of these challenges has become a defining and often debilitating feature of daily life. We'll analyze the data, connect the dots, and show you why, for these 10 cities, the fundamental promise of a better life is now in serious doubt. Number 10. Portland, Oregon. We begin in a city that, for decades, was the archetype of quirky, livable, progressive urbanism, Portland. The dream of Portland was a life of balance, access to nature, a thriving art scene, and a laid-back culture. But that dream is now clashing with a harsh and complex reality. Portland is suffering from a profound social and economic identity crisis. The city is facing one of the most severe homelessness crises in the nation. The most recent point-in-time count identified over 6,000 homeless individuals in Multnomah County, a number many residents believe is a dramatic undercount. This has put an incredible strain on public services and has contributed to a pervasive sense of public disorder. This social strain is compounded by a severe affordability problem that pushed many of these people onto the streets in the first place. The median home price still hovers around $500,000, completely detached from the city's median income. But the biggest challenge is a crisis of confidence. A persistent narrative of rising crime, open-air drug use, and a perceived lack of civic response has led to an exodus of businesses and residents from the downtown core. Portland is now fighting a battle for its very soul, trying to solve deep-rooted social issues while its reputation as a safe and desirable place to live hangs in the balance. Number 9. Chicago, Illinois. Chicago is a city of stunning beauty and deep contradictions. It boasts world-class architecture, incredible food, and a resilient, hard-working spirit. And on paper, it looks like a bastion of affordability compared to the coasts. But look closer, and you see the immense pressures challenging the daily life of its residents. The first challenge is the crushing weight of taxation. Illinois has one of the highest overall tax burdens in the country. Chicago residents are hit with some of the nation's highest property taxes, sales taxes, and a slew of other fees. This financial strain makes the city far less affordable than its median home price would suggest. But the second and more publicized challenge is crime. While crime rates have shown some signs of improvement, the city continues to grapple with a persistent level of violence that erodes the sense of security for many residents. But the living challenge goes deeper than just the crime rate itself. It's the sheer scale of the city's financial problems. Decades of fiscal mismanagement have left Chicago with massive pension debt, forcing the city to choose between raising taxes even higher or cutting the essential services like policing, road repair, and schools that residents depend on. For many Chicagoans, it feels like they are being asked to pay more and more for less and less. Number 8. Austin, Texas. Austin is a victim of its own incredible success. It transformed from a quirky college town into a global tech hub almost overnight. But that explosive growth has come at a staggering cost, creating a living experience defined by growing pains that have become chronic. The primary challenge is a two-pronged crisis of affordability and infrastructure. The tech boom sent housing prices into the stratosphere. The median home price shot up to over $550,000, and while it has cooled, it remains fundamentally unaffordable for the artists, musicians, and service workers who gave the city its soul. But you can't talk about Austin's living challenges without talking about the nightmare of its infrastructure. The city's main artery, Interstate 35, is consistently ranked as one of the most congested roadways in the entire nation. The average Austin commuter loses dozens of hours and thousands of dollars to traffic every single year. The public transit system is insufficient for a city of its size. The power grid has shown its vulnerability during extreme weather, and the city is struggling to build fast enough to keep up. The Austin dream of a laid-back, easy lifestyle has been replaced by the daily reality of sitting in traffic and struggling to pay bills that have grown far faster than the city was ever prepared for. Number 7. New Orleans, Louisiana. The challenges facing New Orleans are unique, historic, and deeply existential. This is a city whose very existence is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. But that spirit is being tested by a combination of environmental threats and institutional decay. The most obvious challenge is the unavoidable reality of climate change. As a city built below sea level, it is on the front lines of sea level rise and is uniquely vulnerable to increasingly powerful hurricanes. The trauma of Hurricane Katrina is a permanent scar, and with every storm season, a deep-seated anxiety returns. This drives up insurance costs to astronomical levels, making homeownership a precarious gamble. But the environmental threat is magnified by a crisis of infrastructure. The city's aging drainage system, the sewerage and water board, is notoriously unreliable, leading to frequent boil water advisories and flash floods even during routine rainstorms. Add to this a high rate of poverty and a struggling public education system, and you have a city where daily life is defined by a level of uncertainty that few other American cities face. The people of New Orleans are fighting a battle on two fronts, against the rising waters outside their levees and the institutional decay within them. Number 6. Pheonix, Arizona. For decades, the story of Pheonix was one of limitless growth, a sun-drenched oasis built in the desert. But the city is now face-to-face with the hard limits of its environment, and the challenges are piling up at a terrifying speed. The first and critical challenge is water. Pheonix and the entire state of Arizona are in the grips of a historic, multi-decade megadrought. Its primary water source, the Colorado River, is shrinking to crisis levels. This has forced the state to declare a water shortage and cut allocations, casting a dark shadow over the future of the city's growth. The dream of a green lawn and a swimming pool is colliding with the reality of a desert running out of water. The second challenge is extreme heat. Pheonix is becoming a laboratory for the brutal effects of a warming planet. The city now regularly endures over 110 days per year with temperatures above 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Last summer, it shattered records with a brutal 31 straight days over 110. This isn't just an inconvenience, it is a public health crisis. It strains the power grid, increases energy costs, and poses a mortal danger to the city's most vulnerable residents. The Sun Corridor is becoming the Scorched Corridor, and the long-term livability of the city is now a very real question. Number 5. Miami, Florida. Miami is a city of glamour, wealth, and international allure. It's a place that seems to exist in a permanent state of sunshine and optimism. But beneath the glittering surface, Miami is facing a slow-motion catastrophe that may be impossible to stop. The primary challenge is a two-headed monster of sea level rise and a resulting affordability crisis. Miami is arguably the most vulnerable major coastal city in the world to sea level rise. The phenomenon of sunny day flooding, where streets become impassable with seawater even without rain, is already a common occurrence in many neighborhoods. This existential threat has created a bizarre and unsustainable economic reality. While the risks are undeniable, a flood of out-of-state and international money has poured into the city, driving real estate prices to levels that are completely disconnected from what local workers can afford. Miami is now one of the least affordable cities in the country when comparing housing costs to local incomes. On top of this, the home insurance market is in a death spiral. Soaring premiums, driven by climate risk, are adding thousands of dollars to the annual cost of living. Miami residents are caught in an impossible squeeze, trapped between rising seas and a cost of living that is rising even faster. Number 4. Los Angeles, California.
The dream of Los Angeles has always been one of fame, fortune, and endless sunshine. But for the vast majority of its 10 million residents, the reality of the daily grind defined by 3 core, soul-crushing challenges. First, the housing crisis is nothing short of catastrophic. With a median home price well over $900,000 and rents to match, the dream of home ownership is pure fantasy for millions. This has fueled a devastating homelessness crisis, with tens of thousands living in encampments that line the city's freeways and sidewalks. Second, the infrastructure is failing to keep up. The traffic in Los Angeles is legendary for a reason. The average Angelino loses nearly 100 hours, 4 full days, to traffic congestion every single year. This isn't just an annoyance, it is a massive tax on people's time, money, and mental health. Third, there is the ever-present threat of natural disaster. The region is in a perpetual state of drought, leading to water restrictions and an ever-increasing risk of devastating wildfires that threaten communities and foul the air quality for weeks on end. Life in LA has become a constant, high-stakes trade-off, enduring a staggering cost of living and a brutal daily commute, all while living under the shadow of environmental catastrophe. Number 3, New York City, New York. New York is the city that never sleeps, the concrete jungle where dreams are made. But for millions of New Yorkers, the city is not sleeping because it is sick with stress. The challenges here are about density, decay, and the sheer, overwhelming cost of everything. The cost of living is the most obvious barrier. It is, without question, one of the most expensive cities on planet Earth. A median home price in Manhattan of over $1.5 million, and average rents that can consume 60 to 70% of a person's income create a level of financial pressure that is simply unimaginable in most of America. But this cost is no longer buying you a world-class living experience. The city's legendary subway system, the lifeline for millions, is plagued by delays, aging infrastructure, and safety concerns. Basic quality of life issues, from sanitation and overflowing trash to a sense of public disorder, have become major points of contention. The city is also straining to handle an influx of migrants, putting immense pressure on its shelter system and social services. The famous grit and energy of New York are still there, but for many, it's being overshadowed by a feeling that the city is becoming dirtier, more dangerous, and fundamentally unlivable for anyone but the super rich. Number 2, San Francisco, California. No city on this list represents the shattering of a utopian promise more than San Francisco. This was supposed to be the shining hub of innovation, a city inventing the future. Instead, it has become a case study in urban dysfunction, a city at war with itself. The housing costs are the stuff of legend. With a median home price still well over $1.3 million, it is the absolute epicenter of the affordability crisis. A 6-figure salary that would provide a life of luxury elsewhere is considered near poverty level in the Bay Area. But the challenges now go far beyond just cost. The city is grappling with a so-called doom loop, where the rise of remote work has hollowed out its downtown core, cratering the city's tax base. This financial crisis makes it even harder to address the city's deep social problems, a homelessness and fentanyl crisis that is shockingly visible, and a relentless wave of property crime that has left residents and business owners feeling helpless. The city that was once the envy of the world now finds itself in a state of paralysis, struggling with problems so complex and intertwined that solutions feel impossibly out of reach. Number 1, Jackson, Mississippi. And that brings us to our number 1 spot. The city facing the biggest living challenges in America isn't the most expensive, and it isn't the biggest. It is a city where the most basic function of a modern society has completely failed. We are talking about Jackson, Mississippi. The challenge in Jackson is elemental. Its residents can't rely on getting clean, safe, running water from their taps. The city's water system, starved of investment for decades, is in a state of catastrophic collapse. The city has endured multiple citywide shutdowns where the water pressure vanished entirely, leaving over 150,000 people without water to drink, cook, or even flush their toilets for weeks on end. Even when the water is running, residents are under a near constant boil water notice due to the risk of contamination. The infrastructure is so decrepit, so broken, that it would take billions of dollars, money the city simply does not have, to fix it. This is a crisis of a kind that should not exist in a developed nation. It affects every single aspect of life: public health, education, economic development. It is the absolute, fundamental breakdown of the social contract. While residents in other cities worry about traffic and rent, the people of Jackson are fighting for a basic human right. And for that reason, it stands alone as the American city with the most profound and difficult living challenge of all.